Studios, do you want my most honest advice that I can give you about how to use Taylor Sheridan? Please, Studios, just give him the reins. Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Gino Reynolds. Today we are going to talk about Taylor Sheridan's new movie, Those Who Wish Me Dead. First of all, saying that title, I have to look at it every time. I don't know why, but the wordplay just messes with me. I always want to think it's called To Those Who Want Me Dead, or To Those Who Wish Me Dead, and there's not even a two at the beginning of it. But anyway, we're going to be talking about this movie. I am going to be putting spoilers in this because I do have to talk about what bothered me about this movie. This is the latest movie that went to theaters and to HBO Max as a part of the Warner Brothers deal. If you don't want any spoilers about this movie, before I really get into talking about the movie, I am going to talk a little bit about Taylor Sheridan. But if you don't want any spoilers for this movie, I will say this. I wanted to love this movie. I really wanted to love these characters, and you got John Bernthal in a movie. It's instant points with me. You got Aidan Gillen in a movie. Being Aidan Gillen, you get some points with me. But there was just something about this that didn't sit right with me, and I'm gonna try to dissect it as I go along. I I I probably would have kind of been disappointed with this one if I went to the theaters to see it. Even though some of the stuff that happens in this, it it helps that it's big. I mean, we're talking about like big forest fires and things like that. So the set pieces lend themselves to a theatrical experience, but some of the storytelling or lack thereof just really took this one down a few notches for me. Probably more than a few notches. So I find it hard to recommend. That being said, if you've got HBO Max, there's worse things out there. Heck, HBO Max and Warner Brothers have been putting some of those worst things out there. But I'm going to talk about Taylor Sheridan first. Taylor Sheridan really burst onto the scene, especially as a writer with his work on Sicario, which we all know Sicario is an amazing movie. Benicio del Toro, Emily Blunt, Josh Brolin, fantastic movie. He didn't really start directing till a couple movies he wrote later. So the next movie he did was a movie that still impacts me to this day. It's still, if I'd have to really think about it, it would probably be the best movie I've seen since becoming a critic. And probably one of the best movies I've ever seen. And that's Hell or High Water. I sing the praises of this movie all the time. When it came out, I still remember I was up near Chicago for some kind of convention. I don't remember which it is now. And I traveled to one theater, which I had to go a little ways out. And then that theater didn't have any seats. So then I drove like another, I wanted to see it so bad that I drove like another 25, 30 miles to go see it. Because nobody around us at the time had it. And I just remember seeing the trailer and I was like, I gotta see this movie. And I remember when I got to the theater, there was one seat left. One. And it was up the very top corner, which I like sitting the top back anyway. But I'm sitting next to a packed, no seats free theater for this movie. And after watching it, I know why. And finally, we got it around us, and I really tried to push it. It was when I was doing TV at the time, and I really tried to push the movie. The local art theater, the Avon, had it, and I know it didn't do very well, which is just damn unfortunate. Because Hell or High Water is amazing. It's a masterclass of storytelling, character development. It's how to set up heroes that you have heroes on both sides, even though, you've got the law, and then you have the criminals, but they both have noble intentions, and you end up liking both sides. And when some stuff starts happening to those sides, you hurt. And I had seen movies like that before, but in modern times, yes, there's been fantastic and great movies in modern times, but that one just nailed me hard. The way it made you invested in these characters, and I just was all about this movie, and it was my favorite movie that year and the best movie that year, in my opinion. And it was written by Taylor Sheridan. Now, granted, he didn't direct it. It was directed by David Mackenzie. So Taylor Sheridan didn't start directing his own stuff until the next movie, Wind River, which is a really good movie, but it wasn't as good as Hell or High Water. And not to say he hasn't made good things since, because he has. He's done good things, but Hell or High Water is still, for me, the standard. Now, granted, I have not seen Yellowstone. It's on the quote-unquote list. So then he also wrote the second Sicario movie. He did not direct it, and it was awesome too. He then got into this point where he started working with other people doing screenplays and things. He worked on as we talked about a little while ago, on another video. I can't remember when it was released or when it's going to be released. I know I've had delayed releases and everything, and whenever I finally decide to release this, it's probably way too late. But he worked on the screenplay for the developmental hell that is Tom Clancy's Without Remorse. He's like one of 3 or 4 names on that, and Lord knows how many had their hands on it before. So, they kind of brought him in to save that one, and hopefully, I really do hope, I don't know if he is, but I really do hope he gets to work on the Rainbow Six, so maybe there can be some consistency there. But then there's this one, Those Who Wish Me Dead, which is actually based on a book. And I will say this, after watching the movie, I really wanted to read the book, because maybe there's more of a story there. And we will get into that when I talk about the plot of this movie. Why I felt some things were missing. Why I felt it almost felt incomplete. Those Who Wish Me Dead is based on a book. It's not a Taylor Sheridan original. And before I move on to talk about the movie, I'm going to say this, and I kind of teased it in the intro. Movie studios, just let Taylor Sheridan do Taylor Sheridan. Letting him do his own stuff always seems to garner the best results. Now, granted, I would rather him just write the movie. I know he wants to direct, and hey, again, I thought Wind River was very good directed. And this movie was directed very well. But I think if he can just focus on the story, is where you're going to garner the best results. Again, you get Hell or High Water. You get Sicario. You get Sicario 2. So this movie isn't a knock on Taylor Sheridan in the least. Again, he's adapting a story. So It definitely does start to feel like a Taylor Sheridan movie, like something he wrote, because again, he did write the screenplay, and I don't know how different it is from the book. I do want to read the book now. It's really expensive on Amazon right now, of course, because the movie. Um, but yeah, I think letting him do his own stuff, like write his own stuff, is gonna garner um, it's gonna garner the best results. So I'm kind of hoping that Hollywood will allow him to do that. I'd love them to to take like a Jeff Nichols approach. Jeff Nichols is the guy who wrote and directed Shotgun Stories, Take Shelter, Mud, Midnight Special, Loving, movies that if I don't love them, I still really like them and I want more of them. I mean, dude uses Michael Shannon like nobody else in a movie, and Michael Shannon's amazing. Um, so I want them to do more of that with Taylor Sheridan. And so that's my spiel on that. So let's talk about the movie again. I'm gonna get into spoilers here. I recommend it for free. Those who wish me dead, I recommend it for free. Do I say you must see this one? No, I would say, I'm going to tell you, watch Hell or High Water or Sicario or Wind River before I tell you to watch this one. It's not a total knock on this one. Again, watching this made me want to read the book to see what was missing, and we're going to talk about that. What this movie is about is you have a flame jumper played by Angelina Jolie, who we see over time in the movie that she is having flashbacks of something bad happening. She is like the weather spotter for the crew, telling them where the winds are going and everything. Well, anyway, the wind shifts. She doesn't see it coming. One of the firefighters tries to run. He gets burned. And then some kids. She sees them when it's too late. There was nothing she could do. But she sees 3 kids trapped in the fire. And it's haunted her ever since. And it's a year or so later, I believe. So then you also have another story of a father and son. You find out what happened to the mom later. The father and son. The father's watching the news after two mysterious men visit someone's house and it blows up. I mean, you eventually learn that it's Nicholas Hoult and Aidan Gillen's characters. They're hitman. They blow up this guy's house. The guy watches the news. He is going to take his son to school. Then he's like, we're playing hooky, and they go on the run. The hitmen figure out where they're going, and it just so happens to be the area where Angelina Jolie's character works, and it happens to be where the kid's uncle, the kid's mom's brother, is a sheriff there as well. And that's John Bernthal's character. And they're going to go try to find him because they feel he's the only one that they can trust. So, on the way there, the kid's father gets killed. Kid goes on the run, meets up with Jolie, and they form a bond while they're trying to escape these hitmen. That's the basic setup of the movie. It's pretty compelling because the idea, they set up some ideas that are really good. I will say this, the acting in it I liked. I really thought everyone did a good job in this. Here's the thing though, and this is something that really disappointed me. This is something that they kind of teased but didn't do effectively enough. They teased like they were trying to make our hitmen villains sympathetic for a little bit, but then they just kind of forget about it. With Angelina Jolie's character and Finn Little's character, that's the kid, they do form a bond. They have to form it awful quick. Because the movie's only like an hour and 40 minutes, and they're trying to set up the kid and his father running, the hitmen going after them. They actually set up some form of whoever is trying to silence the father for what he found and things like that. So they set up all this stuff, and they don't really conclude any of it other than the hitman storyline. I don't know if there's another book. Maybe. I don't see how you would have another book of this if it ends like the movie does. Other than something I thought maybe they would have tacked on to the end involving the people behind the hitmen. So Angelina Jolie's character and the kid, they're basically on the run, but the majority of the movie takes place in a very small area because Jolie's character is sent to this tower because she fails her psych evaluation after the accident. Like, they give her a psych evaluation like 3 days later, and she fails, and so she's stuck in a tower spotting storms. She can't catch a break because the tower gets struck by lightning, so there's no power, so no radio, and of course that comes into play later. Also, the kid don't trust her, but they do form a bond. Hitman's after him, but also John Bernthal's character, and I'm really going to get to this in a minute because this is something that I don't know if it's in the book, and maybe it is, but it could have been changed for the movie if it is. Him and his wife are pregnant with a child, and his wife, and I'm probably going to mispronounce her name. The character of his wife is played by Medina Senghor. I hope I pronounced that right. She's awesome in this. Don't mess with a pregnant lady with a hunting rifle. Let's just put it that way. or anything flammable. We'll say that too. She runs like a survival school that this kid and the dad used to go to every year. And man, she makes the hitmen look like the wet bandits for a minute. But anyway, so with their story though, they set up their story, and they're having a baby, and they have to survive. She has Medina's character has this whole thing where she has to survive the hitmen. And boy, does she. Like I said, she makes them look bad. And they're professionals. Even though after the first hit, they don't look much like professionals anymore. That being said, they are pointing out the mistakes that the company that hired them made too. We should have had 2 teams, Aidan Gillen says. Still sounds like his character from... still sounds like his character from Game of Thrones. Anytime I hear him talk. So yeah, they set up all these stories, and there's just not enough time for it. I think if this movie had even like an extra half hour, it might have been better. But see, again, I want to talk about this. They start setting up the hitmen like they have like a brotherhood, or because one time Nicholas Hoult calls Aidan Gillen brother, and I'm like, are they brothers? And they don't really specify. Or are they just really close? But they start trying to treat them like they're sympathetic because when Aidan Gillen goes and talks to the boss, played by Tyler Perry, which, spoiler, this is a spoiler. I have to talk about this. They introduced Tyler Perry's character as this guy that's behind everything, right? And I thought maybe the information that the dad had, it was why they're trying to kill him, would lead to him and there would be an arrest or something like that. Nothing. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this movie, but nothing comes of it. We don't find out what the information he has. He writes on a piece of paper. Angelina Jolie's character is the only character that gets to read it, and she reads it to herself. So, I mean, she's supposed to Give it to the kid's supposed to talk to the news. So you do see a news crew, so the story does get out there. I guess you can look at it that way, that the story does get out. But it would have been nice to see, like Tyler Perry's character going off in handcuffs. I guess we've seen him going off in handcuffs enough as Medea. We don't need to see him going off as handcuffs as Tyler Perry. So yeah, they're setting up this story that there might be sympathetic characters as the hitmen. Like, maybe they were forced into this life and they're or whatever. Maybe they owe these people, because one thing you notice, and they don't really point it out, you just kind of got to notice it, is that Tyler Perry's character is riding in a vehicle with government plates. Okay, is the government involved? It would have been nice if the movie had elaborated on this. Maybe the book does. I don't know. If you read the book, I don't want to know, because I kind of want to read the book. So that just kind of irked me. Just these little things that irked me, because I was wanting to get invested in these characters. Jon Bernthal has a great scene against the hitmen where, the hitmen just keep promising, we might let you live. If you cooperate, we're going to let you live. And he's just like, who the hell do you think you're kidding? You're going to kill me. Just kill me. And then he just goes on a rampage on him there for a while. But then, of course, they threaten his wife and unborn child. So anyway, they start acting like these characters are going to be sympathetic, but they don't follow up on it. And that was a bit disappointing too. I would have liked to have seen more of that. Again, the movie was almost too short for that. So then I want to talk about Jon Bernthal and his wife's characters. This may be in the book, and if it is, fine. But there was no reason for him to die. If you could have changed anything to give this movie some freaking hope, was that his character could have lived to see his baby born. Because, see, here's the thing. He gets shot, but she rescues him. And boy, does she get hers on the hitmen, or at least one of them. And they end up in the tower, and the tower's on fire. And they think that they're going to get engulfed in flames. They put on masks, like gas masks, and they hope for the best. Well, she makes it. The fire doesn't hit them. A lot of ash and stuff, but the fire doesn't get him. Tower stays up, but he bleeds out. And I hated that. I hated it. And here's the thing, though. If you're going to do that, yes, she mourns. Again, I'll probably mispronounce the name. Medina Sangor. She's phenomenal in this movie. She's the standout character. And especially when she faces off with one of the hitmen the second time, because, like I said, she faces off against both of them once. She gets to show emotion. She gets to, be there for her husband and all that stuff. But you don't see the kid really react. You don't get to see Angelina Jolie's character, who I was afraid they were going to set up like a love story, right? With Jolie's character and Bernthal's character. All you find out is they dated a long time ago. So I was glad to see that was just like not a thing. I mean, I was happy. But yeah, his character, he could have survived. I think it would have been a better end if he would have survived. And I don't know. Oh, and I hated to see the sheriff die too. He was the typical, handlebar mustache, eat steak for every meal kind of guy. And you get to see him in like one scene where he jokes around with Jon Bernthal, and then after that, he gets shot in the head. So that was disappointing too. I want to end on this, and this is actually something that goes back into the humanizing of the hitmen. One thing I love that this movie did was, okay, usually when like the stereotypical hitman or assassin or whatever, they die cool, or they die defiantly, right? Man, these characters just cried and whined. It was so good because it's like, yeah, when you don't have the power, you're nothing. Nothing. Again, big spoiler territory. I know I've spoiled the majority of this movie anyway, so why not? When Nicholas Holt's character gets it, I mean, he does have the upper hand most of the time. He's bigger and stronger than Angelina Jolie, so he does get the upper hand, but she gets the last word in, so to speak, and leaves him to let the main villain of the movie get him, which is the fire. And yeah, he gets a little defiant before the fire gets to him, but boy, does he, he doesn't die cool. Let's just put it that way. And then when Aidan Gillen, when his character gets it, see, this whole thing was when they went after the wife. Again, I don't joke when I say she treats him like the wet bandits. She burns half his face off, and he wants blood. So when they have a chance to go after her, he's like, I'm going after her, even if there's a chance she's mine. Right? Trying to act all cool and everything. But man, when she takes him down, he's just like, please, no. Please don't. He does try the last-ditch effort, pull up a weapon kind of thing. And then when he has no more, he's just begging for his life. And she's like, and he has this line throughout the movie where he keeps just like, I hate it here, something like that. I hate this town, or I hate this area, whatever it is. And she's like, and it don't like you either, and just plugs him, and it's fantastic. Just the way he, he's just begging and pleading, because when she finally gets him before he dies, he's just like, no, don't shoot me again. He's basically like, just let me sit up, don't shoot me again. I mean, yeah, he's gonna go for his gun, because I kind of just wish she just would have plugged him and not even let him finish talking. It's just like, you tried to kill, because they were throwing her around before they knew she was pregnant. She's obviously pregnant. She has the belly going. She's like, I think 6 months pregnant. And they chuck her around. Granted, yeah, she's in a dark room, but still, they chuck her around the room, like throw her against the wall and stuff. And then they're like, I think she's pregnant, after they see the nursery. So... but yeah, she's awesome in this, and I did like what they did with that character development with the hitman. But look, all in all, this movie just felt incomplete. I wouldn't say as incomplete as, like, what was that movie called, The Snowman? Incomplete, but it just felt like there was stuff missing. And that's unfortunate. I would have liked a more conclusive ending. I would have liked... some time for a little bit more character development. I still hated that they killed off John Bernthal's character. I think it was an unnecessary death. It didn't, added to the weight of that character, the wife's character development, but being that none of the other characters react to it, it meant nothing except to, the fire jumpers that found them and the wife. They never really say anything. The movie just kind of ends. So, unfortunately, it wasn't the strongest Taylor Sheridan movie. But again, it's not an original Taylor Sheridan movie. So, please, Hollywood, like Jeff Nichols, just let him do his own stuff. Let him write it. Get him a good director, or let him direct. I think I'd rather, again, him just do the writing, not knocking his directing. I just want him to focus everything into that story. Then we might get another Hell or High Water or something close to it. That's going to be all for this review. Until next time, see you later.